Welcome into my farm redecoration. Recently I redecorated my entire farm and I wanted to bring you along for the process. I'm always asked about how to redecorate my farm, what's the best way of doing it, how do you do it, how do you plan it, and as a person who really needs to be able to visualize things to be able to explain them, I thought the best way of doing that was commentating and showing you how I did it. So here it is, my farm redecoration video. So in my head, I split the farm into different areas so I could sort out different places at one time. And I wanted to start with a bit right outside my farmhouse because I just thought that'd be the easiest thing to do. So currently I had a 2x3 grid of iridium sprinkled plots and I just wanted to change something. This is actually like the third attempt I did at changing this, which is why I ended up doing it quite quickly. It's because actually this is my fourth or fifth time going over it. I had loads of different styles and I'm going to do a bloopers video where I kind of don't edit out all of my mistakes or most of my mistakes and actually show them, because I think it's also important to show them off, but I had way too much footage to put all of them in this, so I'm going to do a third video I guess in the series where I just put the whole thing together. So I just knew with this I wanted to change it and I wanted to move it one over just so I felt like it aligned better. And in my previous setup of this, I actually had a gap in between all of the plots, which I changed for this. I put it all together. I just wanted to have it a bit smaller and I wanted to have a fence around it, which is why I made it smaller, because otherwise it would not fit on, and a fence was like my priority. I really wanted it to be fenced off because I just love the way that fenced off crop areas looked, and the best way of doing that was to not have the gaps in between the crops. So that's what I did. So after doing that and sorting out my crop layout, I put the scarecrows down. Now you can see my scarecrows have a range display. This is a mod that I've installed that if you are on PC or phone, I think you can download mods for too. I highly recommend. Basically, the good thing about this is that it highlights this and other things, for example, the beehives and your Junimo huts, and it highlights the range that those tools will use. So you know exactly where to put all your scarecrows and all your other things so that you know your whole area is covered, and I really recommend them because I've never been good at really knowing where to put scarecrows. I kind of just put them down, and I still do that here, but I wanted to make sure all my crops were covered and this allows me to do that. So when all my scarecrows are down, I wanted to hoe out the entire space of all the crops, and then I put some seeds in them. That just makes it so much easier for me personally when I am doing something like this, because if you don't, over time these spots that you've dug out will just fade and they'll go back to the normal dirt, and I find it easier to have a placeholder in so I know exactly where to not put things and where my crops are going. So after this, as I said, the one thing I really wanted to do was fence off the area, so I grabbed some hardwood fences and I did so, and I love how it looks. I love this so much more than it was originally. I had to work a little bit around the skeletons and around some of the decorations I had put down, but once I did that, I love how it came out. As I said, I really wanted a fence. I don't know why, I just love every farm that I've seen that has a fenced off area for the crops, and I just really wanted to make sure I did that, so I fenced off the area. However, I did really want to make sure that fencing off the area wasn't going to make my life awkward navigating the farm, so I left gaps in between the fences so I could navigate the farm easier. And I make sure towards the end of this I line them all up properly with paths. Now, one of the hardest things I find when doing a farm is having to deal with then all the buildings and things that you need to change the position of and move around. Now, in case you don't know, you can move all of your buildings and things around at the wizards, not just robins, so you'll see me a lot teleporting over to the wizards and just fiddling with the buildings. I have 2 Junimo huts on this farm, and I was really determined. I really wanted this area to have a Junimo hut, but as you can see, I have the range display on for that, and there just wasn't a way I could do it without having less crops to have a Junimo hut, so I just put it back down. I kind of gave up on that, and I do use it again later. I move it back to kind of the original place it was. But I used this then to start moving buildings around. A lot of this I did cut out because there was so much of me just moving buildings around. There was so much of it because things just got in the way. I put something somewhere, I didn't like it, I moved it again, etc, etc. But I did want to keep one in just to show you kind of my process. So my idea was just to move things out of the way of the next area I wanted to build, because then I could just move them again later. Now, something else I really knew I wanted to do was move my obelisk closer to the farmhouse. So I originally had them down by like the middle pond. This is a forest farm, and kind of down near the bottom in the middle there was a pond. I had them down there and I really liked them down there. However, it was just a bit far. They were just a bit far away, and when you're doing skull cavern runs especially, every second really does count. So I wanted to move them close to the farm, and having my crops fenced in this area that it was gave me the perfect chance to put them somewhere. The issue with these is they are really tall, so you can't just kind of put them in random positions without giving up a good chunk of land that is behind it because you can't see the land behind it. So having them all together in a straight line right at the side of my farm for me was an absolutely perfect place to have. And that way they're also close to my farmhouse. It's a win-win. So my obelisks had a home. So after spending loads of time moving some buildings around, it was time to go back to my farm and start adding in some pathing. I wanted a path around the crop area in this little gap where the diggable land, the mud is, and I settled on the stepping stone path. I really love this path. I just think it looks so good anywhere you put it, and I didn't want to just leave it blank, so I did that. Now you keep seeing me open this menu that you probably have not seen before unless you have mods, because this is an item spawner. This isn't something I will use on most of my farms, however this farm is 100% completed. I basically just use it for filming content and decorating now, and it is just so much easier to be able to spawn in a huge amount of what I want rather than creating stuff constantly. So that's what I've used. If you're kind of at the position where you just want to decorate your farm and you're not too bothered about getting the materials yourself, I highly recommend it. It's called the CJB item spawner, and it's really helpful. And you'll see me using it a lot because I just need things and I just don't want to go find them. I don't want to make them. Now, one of the big things I wanted to do in this redecoration was change the flooring. So originally I had the wooden floor, and whilst I really like that floor, the colour is just a bit too bright for what I wanted for this farm. So instead you'll, throughout this farm, see me use the weathered flooring, which I really love the brown tone of. So that is the floor that I will use all around this farm. Once I was happy with that crop area and I'd started the pathing, I wanted to move on to the next area where I have all my crops and change it. This one already wasn't sure what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to change something. I wasn't entirely sure, as I just said, what exactly I wanted to change. So first I decided to just try and clear as much of it as I could, which started off with me having to just get rid of all the dead crops, pick up all the sprinklers, and just do some clear out. Now this top area is the one we're going to focus on first. This is where my main junior hut is. This is my, well, I say 3x3, but there's actually 8 different iridium sprinkler squares is. And using the junior hut and using the range mod that I have added, I figured out that I could actually add in more crops than I had there originally. So that is my plan for this. So with 1.5 there's an item called the pressure nozzle, which increases the range of a sprinkler, which means when you put it on your sprinklers, it increases the range. With the iridium sprinklers, you get a whole extra tile around all the sprinkler with, and by using those on the sprinklers, I can add in more crops and have more money. So I added pressure nozzles onto all of my sprinklers. Now this actually takes me a while to do because for some reason the math on all of these ranges really took me out. I don't know why I struggled so much, but you'll see me when I'm paused, like on the range display, it's because I'm in my head trying to do some form of math. So we added a pressure nozzle onto all of the sprinklers, and I just wanted to figure out how much of the space I could use. Mostly I was hoping that every single tile around the junior hut would be covered, but it didn't actually end up being, which is why you keep seeing me add and remove and change things around. It's because I'm trying to figure out the best way of doing this. Hoping that I can utilize all the space as much as possible, which wasn't actually ended up being possible. I did still have a tile around the junior hut that I couldn't put crops on, but that was fine. I didn't want to change the layout because I wanted it to have this grid still. So instead I then just removed the dirt I dug around the junior hut. I just put a path down there. It's basically what I had before. I just actually had more space, and I much prefer it like this. I just think it looks a lot better, it looks a lot neater. And then I put scarecrows around the junior hut, and thankfully, putting a scarecrow on each corner of this little square covered the entire range of the square, and I was very happy about that. And then once again, I filled this area in with some seeds just because I didn't want the soil to disappear when I was working this process. And then once again it was fence time because I really wanted to fence off all of my crop areas. As I said before, this one proved a lot more challenging actually than the first one did because I wasn't really 100% sure how I wanted to do it. So you'll see me doing a lot of cuts where I put down fencing, I changed fencing around. And when I say a lot of cuts, I do mean a lot of cuts. I truly took so long trying to do this fencing because I just couldn't figure out how to do it in a way that I really liked it. It was actually really a struggle because, to be honest, I didn't really want the corner of the crop fields to be close to the lake because I just wanted to be able to walk through it, which I figured out there was actually no way possibly that I could do that. and it not block off the fence. I think I kept it in originally, and then because I wanted to have the fence around the area, it was too close to my greenhouse fence area, and I just really love the way that looks. I really like how I've done the little areas by the greenhouse. I had to just shorten one to give it the same effect, so I did that and fenced it off again. I'm not 100% sure on how I like the two fence areas that close to each other, but that is the only way I'm able to do it, so that's what I ended up keeping. The best way I could think about solving it was just moving the gate where the coop is to match where the clearance of the crops were, but I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on it. And once I finally had a fence layout that I think I liked, I got rid of the middle bits and carried on figuring out pathing, because having an area that was very, very well pathed off was my priority, or normally is my priority when I am doing decorating. I just really like things to match up properly, so pathing was my go-to next thing to do. And then I was getting the issue, I wanted to do this middle area because I think it would be a lot easier for me to redecorate the farm once I have this bit done. So I had to do a lot of building, moving around. I just was not sure what I wanted to do with the sheds and my stable and all the other buildings around this area. So I do end up changing them a lot. So this is just part one, actually, of me moving all the buildings around. Some of them do definitely move again. I can't remember which ones do, but they don't all stay where I've put them. I just wanted something temporary that I could carry on with my fencing. And that is what I then did. I went back to my pathing because I wanted to make sure my priority was that the fenced areas all made sense and they were well matched up, but also still let me good areas that I could still put things in, like my sheds, my stables. I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do around the pond, so I just wanted to make sure I gave myself the areas to do this, and thankfully, luckily, my pathing all matched up very well, and it led me with two really, really nice areas that I will decorate later in this middle bit. But I pathed off the areas and then we called it a day. And we started this next day by carrying on focusing on the crop areas, now specifically the one underneath that main one that I worked yesterday. So originally there I had a really weird setup because I wanted to maximize the amount of plots I could have, but I didn't care about that anymore because I just didn't like how it looked. There was one that wasn't level, it all looked out of place, and I just was not happy with it. So I really wanted to, for this one, make one that both gave me a decent crop layout but also actually looked quite nice. And I started off by doing that by placing a flooring around, because once again I wanted to have a flooring around it, as I always do. And then we carry on with the sprinkler counting. Now I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do here or how to best do it, so again, having this sprinkler range up was really, really helpful for me to do that, because it meant I could just, like, for a while stare at it and just figure out the best placement for everything and how I was going to be able to do this the best. I thought once again that pressure nozzles were going to come into really good play here, and I'm pretty sure they did. I think I kept them on in the end, because they add an extra tile, which means that, as I said previously, it means you can have more range and things can just be set up a bit better. I had to put it in the wrong place, but yeah, basically this is me just working out sprinkler layouts, because I also have a Dynamo hut, that second one, that's where I put this eventually, that's where I want to put this, so that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out the best setup for it. I'm not going to carry on talking over it because I'll just keep repeating the same things over and over, but yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm figuring out a new layout for my new crop area. And once again, I wanted this one fenced off, so I had to pickaxe up all the tilled soil, because really annoyingly, you can't just place a path over it. I really wish that if you tried to place a path down, it would just get rid of it, but I understand why it doesn't. And again, I wanted to fence the area, so I did. The fences here really, really annoyed me, and I'm pretty sure I do change it, so please pretend that's not there. And this basically is just a lot of me like kind of figuring out the best way of doing things. As I said, I wanted a path around it, but a fence was more a priority to me and I couldn't fence and path that whole area. So I just decided to pick a fence instead, lined it all off, changed it all around, because I have to put things down to see if it works. I know a lot of people that don't actually have to do that and they kind of just put stuff down and it just works. That is not me. I have to do a lot of trial and error, and that's what I'm doing here. Now, I do this wrong. I could not find a way to get it central, and I do end up changing it because I think I figured it out. Or I figured out something different to do. But that whole thing, not central, and it's really annoying me looking back on it. I'm pretty sure I do change it. I hope for my sake I do change it. I'm pretty sure I do. And then I go back to just rearranging a bunch of buildings because I want to keep working on areas, but I can't. I just want to get stuff put in areas. I have this mill that I don't use. I could have just deleted it and got rid of it, but I like the mill, so I wanted to keep it. I couldn't figure out the shed. I just could not figure out where to put all of the buildings. And I said I did a lot of building rearranging in this. A lot of building rearranging in this. And originally my plan was to have the golden clock around the lake, but I didn't like how it looked there. I love the golden clock, don't get me wrong. It just doesn't work with anything, in my opinion. It's a bit of an eyesore. I really do like it, but it doesn't work anywhere with the style of farm I go for. So I really have a hard time with that, but I fit it in somewhere eventually. Oh, there we go. This is where I realised that I did my sprinkler layout wrong and I changed it around to make it more central to the Juno hut. Thank God. It took me a while, so I cut most of it out and now it's dark, but I do get there eventually. I have to have a gap in between all the things to make it more central, but that doesn't bother me. I have that before. Actually, that's what I had previously, and I just had sprinklers in the gaps. I don't think I do that here. I think I just decorate it instead, because I would much rather have to have a bit more of an open split spread space that I think looks better than to have things all cramped together and to lose out space. So I do like how it looks in the end, so I'm glad I changed it. And doing all of those sprinkler layouts took a long time, so we went to bed and we restarted the day. I first started off by doing a lot more pathing just to get things linked up to see what kind of space I was working with. So here you can see me mapping out the path. Obviously I wanted a path down to the woods area, so I started with that and I linked everything up from there. So I linked the path around to my crop bed, I linked that down to the opening to the forest, which linked perfectly and you love to see it. I skipped a lot of the pathing because I redid it, and well, you'll see I redo it again later. I had to move the silo out of the way, but I wanted to have it nice and lined up to my crop area, and then I lined the path up with the path that was originally there. And now you can see me building a cabin. Now I think when I was googling farm ideas, I saw someone do very similar. I wanted to add a cabin to make it kind of feel like there's a guest house by the lake, like the pond area. I thought it was really cute. And I decorate it later and I love how it turned out, so I was very happy I did that. And then I wanted to add a couple more shipping bins just because they fill a bit of space and it just kind of makes my life a lot easier when I'm playing on this farm. So I added in some shipping bins, and I do a lot of building moving around here. Because again, I'm really trying to find space. These fish ponds especially gave me so much issues, so many issues, so many problems. Like I just could not figure out a place for them. I nearly just got rid of both of them, to be honest, because I just did not know what to do with them. The mill was the same, but thankfully I was able to hide it away a little bit into a space that kind of worked and then wasn't taking up too much room. But the fish pond was such a nightmare. And then I wanted to focus on doing some more decorating, trying to start getting some of my stuff back in place, making the farm look a lot nicer. So these two areas that I had in between the crops, I start working on. I also knew what I wanted to do around the pond. I wanted a bunch of mushroom trees, so I grabbed some decoration and I started doing that too. Clearing up some more space to put stuff in, trying to unload, trying to give myself some more inventory room. And that's basically what a lot of the rest of this kind of video is. It's me doing a lot of decorating, changing my mind, trying to figure out what works best. I wanted to keep all my statues together, but I also really liked how the butterfly hutch looked here. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just putting my statues down and trying to figure out a way to best display them, so that I like how they look, but it doesn't feel too cluttered. So that's what I'm doing here. And I change it because I don't like it, which is why I cut the clip, and then I'm trying to figure out what to do here because I wasn't really sure what to do. I wanted to fence the area off and have like a little seating area, and I changed what I do here a lot again because every time I felt like I did something I liked, I had to change it, or I just didn't like it, so I changed it again. But I was really convinced about having the fences here, so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a fence arrangement that I liked. And I ended up using two different fences because I just thought the pop of colour was really, really nice. And I just thought it'd be easier then to work in the morning, so I jumped to the next day. And I really do like how the fences look, the different colours of the fences. I'm very glad I did that. Carried in with some more pathing because I think, again, as I've said so many times, to me pathing is one of the most important parts of doing anything like this, because I just think it really, really makes everything come together, so I really focus on it. I just passed up the whole of the entirety of the back of the shed, and I think I do end up keeping the shed here. I wasn't going to originally, I didn't like where it was. When I added in the path, and I was like, actually this is probably the perfect space for it, so I kept the shed there. Here I am just doing some decorating. In my previous farm, I had a little seating area, and I was really, really determined to keep one. Originally, it's here. This is not where that seating area ends up staying. I change it around a little bit, but I said I was really determined to keep it in. And I really wanted to make sure most of the components that I really liked about my old farm were still on here, so that's why you see me just pulling up random bits of decoration, random statues, random items, and just putting them down and trying to find them in place. Then the next big area to focus on was this area down here. Now I really wanted a beehive set up. I saw some really cute ones when I was looking for farm decoration inspiration, and I really, really wanted a beehive area. So I sacrificed this crop area I had. I originally had 3 iridium sprinklers down, and I sacrificed it for a bee setup. I saw one I really, really liked, and it was a love heart, but unfortunately it was not enough space. I couldn't make it work without it looking a bit weird, which is what you see me doing right now, which I end up getting rid of, as you can see. And I just do a bit more efficient one. It's a little bit more boring, but it's more efficient and it just looks better. It doesn't look like a cursed love heart. In case I haven't said it enough, if you have an idea for something you just don't know how to execute it, if you just Google, people on Google and Reddit especially, people post a lot of their stuff like this on Reddit. It's very, very helpful, and it can give you an idea of how other people done it, and then you can use that to do your own. So no one had obviously this exact setup that I'm doing right now, but people had very similar, and I used what they have done to figure out how to do this best. So you have to remember with stuff like beehives and even your like kegs and stuff, that you have to be able to reach them and access them, so you can't really have more than like 2 together without having a space around them, because you won't be able to reach them. If you had, say, a 3x3 grid, you won't be able to reach that one in the middle. And obviously you want them to reach the flowers. It's kind of the point of having a beehive set up like this. So having this range display mod that I have really, really helped me out here. And just trying to like remember where I can put beehives to make it so that 1, it can reach the flowers, but 2, that I could reach it to collect the honey. And because I've never had an area like this took a lot of trial and error for me because I've never done something like this, but I do like how it turned out in the end. I added in some stone pathing, just to add a little bit more colour again, because I really like using pathing in case you haven't got that by now. And I just finished it off with a bit more flooring, and I realised I could put some more beehives behind here, so I thought, you know what, why not? I might as well. So that's what I did, and that was the end of that. And then we are back to decorating. By now we've done the bulk of the most, like, the areas that need things are going to be, like, main functioning areas. So now we're just doing a lot of decorating, filling in a lot of the gaps. As you can see, I had so many things. I see these chests by my greenhouse. It is all just stuff that I had on my farm that I didn't want to get rid of. I should have just got rid of it, but I just thought it was too tedious. For some reason I thought this would be easier. So it's me just grabbing all the stuff from this chest and trying to find a new home for it, because I knew I wanted stuff around, as I've said, but I just didn't know where to put it. So all my strange capsules and all these little statues that I found, they had to find a home somewhere. So this is basically what I'm just gonna do now for a long time. And as I said, around the lake I already wanted a mushroom tree. Basically I wanted to line the entirety of the outside with the mushroom trees, and you can get mushroom saplings from the key rooms, the walnut rooms. It's one of like the reward things that you can buy, but I also can cheat them in, so I cheat them in and I put them all the way around my lake. And then we carry on decorating. And then we are back to the issue of where the hell do I put all of my buildings? Is where I go, so I carry on moving things around. I really didn't know where to put the mill. The fish ones I had problems with. The mill I also had a lot of problems with. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to move buildings around, just trying to find a place for them. Really trying to find a place for them. I moved them all so many times. So many times. And then we want to start decorating the cabin areas. We're very excited to do this because I really wanted to make it feel like a little guest home cabin on the lake. I added in the path for the lake guest house, like a little stone path leading up to the cabin. I wanted to fence off a little bit, so I added some fences in. I kind of wanted it to feel like I was fencing off the lake, while also like not. I don't know why I ended up doing the fencing like this, but I do really like how it turned out. So all is well that ends well. And then we're back to trying to move buildings around. I just need a new place for everything. Once again, trying to find a place for fish ponds. This is why I think I actually end up keeping them. I tried to make it like a mini makeshift fishing area. That's not really a fishing area. And then we're back to decorating. We're putting some more paths around. I think this is where I end up keeping the shed, but the stable does move. So I'm just trying to figure out how to have a little pathing area around here. In my last farm outside of my shed, I had like a little like a flower bed area, and I really wanted something like that too. So that's what you're watching me try and do. Because I couldn't have it exactly how I had it last time. I just put a bunch of grass down, a bunch of the potted plants instead. So I just didn't have the space to do it how I did it last time, which was upsetting because I really, really liked it. But I like this one too. I do like the greenery of it. And I put a keg outside the shed because if you didn't know, if you put one outside and you put them inside, when the one on the outside is ready, the ones on the inside will be ready, so you don't have to keep going to checking your shed. So I do that. I don't love the stable where it is, as I just said, so I move it. I move it down by the pond. I'm not 100% sure on the place it is. I do leave it here, but it is the best place for it, to be honest, overall. I do the same with the mill. I put it there too. I don't love it being there, but it is the best place I could find it, so that's where I left it. And where the stable was originally, I built in a seating area. As I said, I really wanted a seating area. I have had one on most of the farms I make, and I love making a seating area. So I decorate a little seating area with a little bench, a little coffee area, some plants. And then I just tried to add in some more decoration to places just to give it some more colour, just to add some stuff onto it. The next day I go about just adding grass and adding trees to areas. Trying to figure out the mushroom tree lake pond area that I had going on. And then it's time to decorate properly the lake cabin. Now, as you can see, I have this huge area underneath it, and I wasn't really sure what to put there originally. I was just kind of going to grass it off, add some stuff in, and call it a day. But I end up making it into a little forest, which you can see I'm grabbing the seeds of the mahogany trees, because mahogany trees are my favourite trees in this game. I really like how they look. So I wanted to make it into a little tree forest. Adding some more fences in, adding some grass in, adding some plants into the grass area. And as I said, I made the little fish ponds into a makeshift fishing area. Now I couldn't do it exactly how I wanted to do it, but I added in a flooring, I added in a fence, I added a little sign, I put a little fish on it to symbolise you can fish here. I probably should have done it with my fishing rod, but I don't actually know if it works. I haven't actually tried it, but I have my little fishing area now too. And then now that I finally have that figured out, I path off the fishing pond area and I figured that out. Again, adding in some more grass just to make it not look as flat, to just add a little bit of texture. I just really like how the grass looks, so I add loads of it around. And as I said, I made a little lake house, so I had to have a little like sitting area. So I added in a nice flooring, I added in a little bench. Added in some plants, carried on with some grass, added some more trees to my lower tree area. Once again, added some more path, fenced it off because I wanted it to have like a separation between fishing area and this little tree forest I had going on. And it was time to try and figure out a place for the golden clock and to try and figure out some decorations for the golden clock. Now, originally I put all of this grass down, hated it, got rid of it all, and I just kind of copied the same idea that I did underneath. I just added in a bunch of trees. Really sorry to Leah when she goes to work on her statue. She can't anymore because there's a bunch of trees over here, but I added in some trees and I added in some grass. And then we skipped to the next day and I installed a mod that made trees insta-grow because I didn't want to just keep sleeping over days, just to wait for my trees to grow, so my mushroom trees all grew, and I love the smaller ones along with the bigger ones. I think it looks so cute. Add a little bit more decoration around. I carried on with my little forest area. I built a well because I thought that would be a really cute addition to the tree area, and I really, really do like it there. Add in some pathings to kind of connect everything together. But as I said, I wanted the separation between that little fishing pond and like the little forest area, so I added in some fences, added in some more grass. Moved the well into a better spot, added a little path to the well, added in some plants to make it feel a lot more green. And then went back to decorating, went back to clearing out my chest, went back to just putting random items in random places just to fill out the space. And that's basically what the end of this video is. It's just a lot of me putting random things in random places because I want these things around and I just want to fill in the space. And after adding in some lamps, some more grass, some torches, clearing out the last of my chest, putting some of the last statues down, the farm is complete. And welcome to my farm. We'll do a little farm tour together, I thought. This is a couple of days later. Well, actually, this is a couple of weeks later. And you see the farmhouse might look a bit different because I've got a pride flag mod installed. But I thought we'd go around together. Now, as I said, I'm going to do a video that I'll probably put out next week where it is the entire process of me redecorating this farm. Everything I've recorded all together as like an ASMR farm redecoration thing, so stay tuned for that. But I thought we could still do this tour together. So let's start up here where my golden clock is and my mahogany trees that are covering Leah's workstation. Sorry, Leah, please no one tell her. I love her anyway. Down to where my obelisks are, and then my crop area looking very, very yellow. The wheat is so bright in this game, it's so bright. And if you come out here, you have my stable, here's my horse. The top of my mushroom tree lake with my frog statue. The miller's here too. I've got one little seating area, and the area all my statues currently are. My dog is also over here. Up above, seating area, we have a mini obelisk. The place where you walk to when you walk back to your farm. My dog bowl. My shed that's got my kegs in it. The shed that I use for my storage is right next to it, followed by obviously the entrance to the backwoods. The cave is here. Coming over to the greenhouse, which didn't really change much. This is a bit shorter than it was, but the greenhouse area, I added a bit to Grandpa's little shrine area too. I just added some scarecrows, some statues, and one of the warp totems. And that brings us to big crop area, which is my, well, 3x3 grid with pressure nozzles of all of my crops with my Junior hut in the middle. Something you didn't really see very much in the tour is this area over here, because I didn't do anything to these areas because I love my barn and coop areas. So these are my two coops, and underneath them I have all my mayo machines. My looms are down here, chicken statue, and this is just a chest that has my storage of my extra things in it. Down here I had grass, but it clearly got eaten up by some animals. We're gonna pretend that didn't happen. And then we lead back down to my second crop area, which is 2 pressure nozzles, iridium sprinklers, and then my Dynamo hut. Underneath that we have my beehive area with my sunflowers to give me some honey. And my barn area with my mayo machines, my truffle oil machines, and my pigs, my ostriches, etc, etc. They're all in here. Once again, this area didn't change because I just love this setup as it is. Coming over to the side, we have the bottom of my mushroom lake, my mini fishing area. Down here is just some grass and a walkway to the forest area. I have my well, my decorated plants, all my trees. My spare silo is also up here. Then as you come around, you have my little vacation house, as you could say. This is my little vacation area. There's a mushroom tree over here now. Oh, good to know. That wasn't there when I decorated it. But yeah, I've got a little seating area. This is my like little makeshift campfire. I love this. And then we're back around to the beginning. So that is my farm. That is my 100% completed farm. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as I said, I'm going to be posting a video where I just have all of the footage all together, and we'll do it as like an ASMR cozy decorate my farm with me video, so stay tuned to that, and stay tuned for more decorations up and coming. This was the big one. I'm definitely gonna do more of these. I have so many farms that I can decorate, and we'll do different kind of styles, and we'll do different kind of farms, but stay tuned for all of that. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.